Good morning, or afternoon, because after all, it is like noon, 12:30 almost to be precise. How is everyone doing today? So, the topic is going to be smoking weed, and it's a very controversial thing because, like most things, people are on the fence about it. It's a bad thing, it's a bad thing, or it's a whatever thing. It's Everybody's different and everybody handles things different, kind of like how alcohol is fine for some people and it's not fine for others. Certain foods are good for some people and it's not good for others. Not saying that smoking weed is healthy or anything, but it doesn't turn you into a degenerate like people think it does. Anyway, I'm going to talk with my Uncle Dave regarding this topic because he lives in Minnesota where smoking weed is legal. So let me pull that up and let's see what we both said about it. And everyone's can have their own opinions, just like anything else. Okay, here we go. Smoking weed, and we will play it.
Masters.
Let's go back. There we go.
I never experimented with weed. Full scale research. Got my master's.
Hello, everyone. I got Dave with me today, and we're going to talk about weed, one of Dave's favorite topics, because he lives in Minnesota and it's legal there. So, I have a question for you, and I've been wondering this, and I know a lot of people have probably been wondering this. As an addict and stuff, how does smoking weed play into that? Because a lot of people say it's a gateway drug. But if you're an addict and you're a recovering addict and you're smoking weed, does that tempt you to want to try other drugs again?
No, absolutely not. It's more of a medication for me. It helps my pain. It takes away my anxiety, which I have a lot of. And I don't know if you've ever had an anxiety attack, but they can be very frightening. I had one, I actually 2 days in a row. I was in Mexico earlier this year and I woke up having a panic attack. I thought on the second day I was going to die for sure, right there on the spot. Luckily, a little weed helped pull me out of it. And I don't know. Some people still call it a drug, say you're still an addict if you use it. Everybody can have their own opinion. I don't have a problem with that. I know what I do with it, what I use it for. I'm not a social smoker. I certainly don't attend any events. I did once a political event, and everybody was pretty baked. Had some good supply for the party, man.
And was it a calm event too?
It was real calm. Yeah, no police, no disturbances, no protests.
See, now put
You know,
alcohol or other drugs in there, and you have a completely different scenario.
especially if you add a little alcohol.
Right.
Uh,
Like people medicate in different ways, and not everyone who smokes weed is an addict and is out of control. Just like not everyone who
of
drinks
course
alcohol
not.
is an alcoholic. It affects
No,
each individual in a different way.
I have so many friends that can socially drink, and I'm kind of jealous because I miss drinking. Drinking was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Am I an alcoholic? Oh yeah, of the absolute worst kind. But doesn't mean I don't miss it and that I didn't have fun with it. Friday nights playing cards at my buddy Jeff's house. 6 of us get together, sit and play cards all night. You might lose 20, $30, no big deal. It's all in fun. And God, I miss that. So you'll find that people that smoke weed are pretty mellow. Kind of takes a lot to kickstart some anger in them.
Right, but it doesn't make them like drooling on the couch like most people would assume they are. Like they're up walking
No,
around,
no,
they're
no,
out
of
there just
course
being
not.
functional human beings.
Absolutely. Plenty of people function under the influence of marijuana at work every single day in every form of job you can think of, from construction work to truck drivers. It is what it is. And it's about time that they made it legal. It's the largest cash crop in the world. Why not? Why not benefit society as a whole by passing some fees on to us users and collect your money and do social good?
Be nice to
So
remove the stigma around that, kind of like I'm trying to remove the stigma around alcoholics and what
yeah,
alcoholics are.
I think the stigma around weed is going away a lot faster than I ever suspected it would. I certainly didn't think that I would see this in my lifetime. I have a conviction from 1980 for possession of marijuana. I had a quarter pound. And wow, they thought I was like a big time dealer, there in Waukesha. Treated me like, well, they treated me fair. It was kind of comical, actually. I asked them then, I said, do you believe in God? And they said, yeah. So don't you think God put weed on the earth to be smoked and not go to jail for? Oh, we got a comedian here, huh?
Well, doesn't cocaine grow on trees? Isn't that where that starts?
Yeah, exactly. But there's a reprocess, and from what I've seen, it includes gasoline, and that's kind of scary,
Right?
especially knowing that I've snorted enough cocaine myself, and sure don't taste like gasoline. That's for sure. It's got its own special taste until your taste buds go numb, and that's pretty groovy too.
Right? It's like a numbing
Fingers.
thing, kind of like what lidocaine or novocaine is because it's a
Right,
cane and it's for
right.
numbing. And that too, it affects people differently. Like some people, you do one line and you're off to the races, and other people could take it or leave it, and it doesn't affect them as much.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it's a fun party drug. It was a lot of fun in the day. Boy, the 80s were alive with cocaine, just alive. But then we found meth. So, but I still don't believe that because I weed first that weed was a gateway drug. Weed's just weed. I was very interested in pharmaceutical drugs because as a younger kid, before I was a teenager, I had a brain injury and I got hooked on pharmaceutical painkillers back then, back in 1974, the year your sister was born. Um, wow, very powerful stuff. And that fueled my addiction for years. I liked it. It helped. It worked. And then I became an addict and I had to overcome all that. When I overcame alcohol, that's all I overcame at the time. I still did other drugs. I was still doing meth, and I did meth for way too long. And I have lots of friends that stuff really messed. Both the physical look of people, a lot of them lost their teeth, lots and lots of them lost their teeth. That's crazy, man. Some of them just fried their mind. Now they're just kind of worthless to society. So I'm glad I got rid of that. And I didn't do that on my own. God helped me with that. So I'm blessed.
Before we were talking a bit ago about work and weed and stuff, and I just find it interesting that you can get fired for having weed in your system for having an accident at work, but an accident can happen to anyone who's not under the influence or to someone who Because having personal things go on in their life and their brain just isn't there, or to someone who is sick. So, like, if something happens at work and you take you're sent for a random test and you come up dirty, you're instantly fired. I think there should be some gray area there.
I believe it's straight up discrimination. Straight up. They use it as a tool to get rid of people because they just don't want to deal with it, period. They that's the old fashioned belief that it's a bad thing. And until that changes, that's gonna continue to happen. And it's very unfair, you know.
Where it's more
Uh,
acceptable to come to work drunk off because you went out
right.
to lunch, a business lunch or something, and you went out for happy hour. A lot of those businessmen are alcoholics. I just think the
There
double
was a
standard of society is funny because you associate weed smoking with like people with dreadlocks and people just hanging out in a park and deadbeat people, and that's not what it is at all. They're all functioning adults.
there's many times when I was working that when I was drinking that I would drink at work very frequently. Luckily, I never got disciplined for it. But I look back on it now and think, wow, how crazy is that? Drinking at work, how irresponsible I had become at that point of my illness. So I'm very grateful I was able to put an end to it. And when I did, it was pretty final. A couple more weeks, I'll have 22 years of sobriety, and I don't.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't miss what it did to me that much. Sometimes, but I know I'm much better off, and I highly doubt that I'll ever revisit it. I know what it does. It's not pretty, not with me anyway. Besides, with so many beautiful new strains of weed to try, a connoisseur can have a full-time occupation just tasting different varieties of bud, and that's exciting. I'm hoping that they end up with like some smoking lounges up here. I think that'd be pretty cool. I think it would be popular. Add your coffee to it, of course.
It's got to be
Go
better than a
ahead.
hookah bar.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, you could have a hookah bar too, just with weed.
Exactly.
Um, Boy, you could get your whole gang together and go hit the hookah and forget about what's happening in the world.
I don't think I've ever tried the hookah. I have no idea, but I've seen it. I've been in the hookah bars.
Never smoked on one, but I think they're really cool looking. I love the idea that many people can partake at the same time, and if it makes you laugh,
Isn't that
that's
what a
even
bong
better,
is
man.
for? So many people can partake at the same time?
There you go. Yes, my friend has a bong from the 70s. It's a graphics bong. It's purple with a red ring on the top. Its name is Fred. And I moved Fred from Wisconsin up to Minnesota in the winter time one time. The first time I came here, my buddy Jack was going to the university and he lived on campus. So me and my stepbrother Brian decided to jump in the car one Friday night and cruise up to the Twin Cities and find Jack. And we did. And we found him at like 2 o'clock in the morning. We called him, woke him up. He was in the dorm room on the St. Paul campus of the U. And so he came and let us in the building, and I dropped the bong in the hallway coming in, and the advisor there seen it and just kind of grinned, looked the other way. And Fred's still around today. Fred's over 40 years old now.
Wow.
Fred's as old as you are. Pretty close. Fred's been around since 78.
Isn't that funny how objects like that can become like a family member if you
Yeah,
give them a
it
name?
is. It's hilarious. And our favorite friend was snow Freds. Bill Fred would snow and then smoke out of it.
Oh, okay.
Get a super nice, cool, clean, crisp hit, and just kind of wake you up. nice ice filter. So if you ever get the chance, try one.
So do you smoke weed in any other way? Do you just straight up smoke weed, or do you do the vapes? Do you do the waxes or the daps or whatever it's called?
Actually, I've been doing vapes. One vape lasts what I would use. I would smoke 3 to 4 probably 4 bags of weed to one vape. And at $50 a bag and $50 a vape, I'm saving $150.
It's quite a big
month.
savings.
Absolutely. And it's a lot cleaner, I guess. If you want to consider any of it healthy, it would be healthier for you. It's actually helped clean my lungs out a little bit.
Because it makes you cough? Does that help
yeah.
clean your lungs?
Yeah, exactly. Then they say gummies help clean your lungs too and help you quit smoking, which is something I'm going to try. So I'm desperately trying to quit smoking cigarettes. They are my worst nightmare. They really are. And I absolutely hate them as I'm sitting here puffing one now.
I see that. In closing, I would like to say that the opinions expressed here were strictly of my own making or by my guests. Take what you like and leave the rest. You may come to realize that you may not like me or what I want to share. Let's talk to each other, reason things out, but let there be no gossip or criticism of one another. Instead, let the fellowship of ethical human behavior and the serenity from positive human interaction help you grow and chill out one experience at a time. I would like to thank my higher power for guiding me through this podcast. I hope to spread the message of love, hope, and understanding by touching one life at a time. If you like this podcast, please like and share it. Comments also help other struggling people find it. I am now listener supported. If you would like to contribute, please feel free. There is no obligation. If you would like to share feedback, you can email me at averagehumanbeing1875@gmail.com. There is also a link you can click if you'd like to send a voice message and add to the content of the show.
Peter.
Mike?
Okay, I guess I didn't have a closing on there. That's okay. That's okay. So there you have opinions about smoking weed from someone who's a bipolar addict and alcoholic. And like Dave said, he's been sober for 22 years. And if you want to hear more about Dave's story, go back to some of the previous episodes where I talk with Dave. He has talked about forgiveness of a child molester and things like that. He talks about some sensitive topics. And he likes to talk about music and things like that. So I talked to Dave a few times about different things, and it's just nice to have family members join in on the podcast. All right, until next time, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.